Here's a very quick tip on staying motivated in the off season. I would try to take motivation out of the equation completely by just having a schedule. So let's say, you had a schedule like this: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you write in, remember, you should be wrestling 2 days a week, lifting 2 days a week, and spending 2 hours a week studying the sports psychology side of wrestling, performance, reading books, listening to things online. Not really motivational stuff, but things that actually can help you to organize the thoughts in your head. So 2-2-2. And you know what? If you can go 3-3-3, that's probably even a little bit better. But I would say 2-2-2. And then if you really have a great week, maybe you wrestle 3 times. If you really have a great book, maybe you read it for 6 hours on a weekend. But 2-2-2, I think, is a very good format because it allows us something that we can stick to. So sometimes we don't do anything, then we get frustrated, and then we say, I'm gonna change my whole life. And then you create this big old huge 3-hour weightlifting plan, and I'm gonna get up at 6 in the morning, and I'm gonna wrestle 7 days a week, and you don't do anything. It's best to underachieve your way to the top, and you're gonna get more out of it anyway. If you try to study 8 hours straight, you're not going to do very well. You're probably better off studying for 90 minutes, taking a break for a few hours, maybe 30 minutes at night. You get the idea. Lifting weights for 3 hours every single day would be less productive than taking a couple days off, because now rest and recovery allows me to grow and adapt. And secondly, when I go back into the weight room, back onto the track, back onto the hill I'm running, back into the wrestling room, I am rested. My nervous system is rested, I'm physically rested, and I'm kind of ambitious and ready to go. So sometimes a lot of training can actually be very detrimental. In fact, I think a lot of times it is. And that's what we do during season. We take 8 months off, and then we try to go crazy during season. We end up having another crappy year, rather than just saying, you know what, I'm going to underachieve my way to the top by picking a formula that works for me, something that I can do consistently for a decade. And hey, you always have the opportunity to wrestle 4 days this week, read or study for 4 or 5 hours, lift 3 days a week. You always have that opportunity, but the only thing hanging over your head is this: I have 2 practices this week. You write it on your piece of paper, right? You're like, okay, Monday I have PWA from 5 to 7, high school room. Tuesday I lift 3 to 4:15 with Matt. Wednesday, academy, 6:15 to 8:45. Thursday I lift 3 to 4:15. Friday's a day off. Saturday, sometimes tournaments, sometimes a day off. Sunday, I'm going to get caught up on my homework, maybe my chores a little bit, cleaning my room, and I'm going to lift from 1 to 3. So we have 3 wrestling, or rather 2 wrestling, 3 weightlifting, and sometimes we also wrestle on a Saturday. And maybe you could say, okay, you have one for every week. And you go, well, the next 2 weeks there's no tournaments. Well, you know what, I'm going to wrestle Friday, but I'm not going to go to a club. I'm just going to wrestle after school from 2:30 to 3:30. I'm not even going to get sweaty and tired. I'm just going to really work my technical stuff, my strengths and weaknesses. So kind of a fun little breather from the hard, intense practice, but actually a get better practice. So see, now you don't need no motivation, do you? Because what you have is you have a calendar, and you have scheduled yourself to be successful. And secondly, when you see white space on that calendar, maybe you use a traditional calendar you print and go, okay, I got lifting from 3 to 4:15. I'll be home at 4:40. There's white space there. Guess what you do? You watch a movie, you hang out. Maybe if you have homework, you have to do that. Well, that takes 45 minutes. So now what you do by scheduling when you need to be training, you have a schedule you can stick with. You take motivation out of it. Only a little bit of discipline is required to stick to your schedule. And when you see white space, you can say, oh shoot, Friday there's nothing. Hey, who wants to go play Topgolf? Or hey, maybe you can go out with your buddies that night and sleep in Saturday. And I mean, that white space on your calendar, see, that's free time for you to do things that you want. And maybe some chores, maybe you have to do some cleaning or mow the grass for the old man, who knows. But you kind of create, and you really get to see, hey, these are times I get to just be a kid and not be busy. And then, you want to schedule some stuff there. You don't want to just spend 8 hours on a Saturday looking at your phone like a moron. You want to go out and do something. So you use that white space that's left over as an opportunity to see how much free time you actually have. And then you fill that with some fun activities and things. And now you don't feel like you're grinding or you're being, that you're suffering through some hard training schedule, because you really only need a handful of hours a week to become a tremendous nationally ranked wrestler. And, I think sometimes when you see exactly how much free times you have, it makes you really feel like, hey, I'm not really sacrificing much. I got a lot more free time than I do work, and that can be very exciting as well. So love to have you guys. PearlWrestling.com. We have, we had 111 camp spots left as of yesterday. We're probably down to 70 or 80 now. So we have 2 months till camp. So camp's going to sell out again. This will be the 9th year in a row. This will be 12 out of the 16, 13 out of the past 17 years, most of the past 23. So we sell out most years, and we're building a big girls wrestling camp bunkhouse next year on our property in Central Missouri. So we will have girls overnight, 28-day camps there as well. But appreciate you following.